So, hello, we'll continue with Julius Caesar. So, Cassius says, hath Cassius lived to be but mirth and laughter to his Brutus? What when grief and blood ill tempered vexeth him? So, Cassius says, has he lived only to be a joke, only to be a clown to his friend Brutus? When Brutus has been overcome with grief or with sorrow, or when he's angry, Brutus, when I spoke that, I was ill tempered too. So Brutus says that when he said what he said, he was also not in a good mood. Cassius, you confess so much, give me your hand. So they become friends again. Brutus and my heart too, they clasp hands. Cassius, oh Brutus, what's the matter? Cassius, have you not love enough to bear with me when that rash humor which my mother gave me makes me forgetful? So Cassius asks Brutus if he does not love him enough when that humor, when that mood which was inherited from his mother, that is, when he becomes angry, his anger has been inherited from his mother, makes him forgetful of himself. Brutus says, yes, Cassius, and from henceforth, when you are over earnest with your Brutus, you'll think your mother childs and leave you so. So Brutus says to Cassius, and from then on, from henceforth, when Cassius is too open with his friend Brutus, he'll think that it's Cassius's mother who's angry and leave him. Enter a poet followed by Lucilius, Titinius, and Lucius. Poet, let me go in to see the generals. There is some grudge between them. 'Tis not meet they be alone. The poet asks the guards, that is Lucilius, Titinius, and Lucius, to let him into the tent to see General Cassius and General Brutus, because there's some quarrel between them, and it's not meet, it's not suitable that they be alone. Lucilius, you shall not come to them. So Lucilius denies him permission. Poet, nothing but death shall stay me. So poet says, only death shall prevent him from seeing the general. Cassius, how now, what's the matter? Poet, for shame you generals. What do you mean? Love and be friends as two such men should be. For I've seen more years, I'm sure, than ye. The poet advises them. He says that they should be ashamed of themselves, and he asks them to become friends again, and he says that he is older than they are, and he is right in advising. Cassius, who is insulted because someone who has no relation to their affairs has come in and started advising them. So Cassius says, and he's insulted, offended, he says, aha, how wildly doth this silly crime. So Cassius knows he's a poet, and he says, this poet rhymes very wildly, does it very badly. Brutus also becomes offended. He says, get you hence, sirrah, saucy fellow, hence. So he asks the poet to leave him. Cassius, bear with him, Brutus, this is fashion. Cassius says, you should put up with him because it's his mood. Brutus, I'll know his humor when he knows his time. What should the wars do with these jigging fools? So Brutus says, I will put up with him, I will bear with him when he knows the time to advise us, when he knows the correct time to advise us. What should the wars do with these jigging? So now it's wartime. What is a jigging fool? What is a rhyming poet coming here, and advising us? Companion ends. Cassius, away, away, be gone. Poet exits. So Brutus, Lucilius and Titinius bid the commanders prepare to lodge their companies tonight. So Brutus tells his servants to tell the commanders of his army to make their armies camp that night. Cassius, and come yourself and bring Messala with you. So immediately to us. So Cassius asks them to bring Messala to them. Lucilius and Titinius exit. Brutus tells Lucius's servant, Lucius a bowl of wine. Lucius exits. Cassius, I did not think you could have been so angry. Cassius, oh Cassius, I am sick of many griefs. Cassius says, of your philosophy you make no use if you give place to accidental evils. So Brutus is a philosopher, and philosophy is primary. One of the uses of philosophy is to make us bear with the chance, with the events in life. So he says that Brutus doesn't use his philosophy when such an accident, when such a thing has happened by chance. He should make use of his philosophy. Brutus, no man bears sorrow but Portia is dead. So Brutus says that he has been as tolerant as any man, and he says Portia, his wife, is dead. Cassius is cannot believe he asks in disbelief. Huh? Portia? Brutus, she is dead. Cassius says, how escaped I killing when I crossed you so? Oh, insupportable and touching loss. Upon what sickness? So Cassius says, no, just now they had been almost with the with the swords at each other's throat. And Cassius says, Brutus, under the weight of such a grief, uh, he could have killed Cassius, and he says that the loss of Portia is insupportable and touching loss. And Cassius says, how did she die? Was she sick? Brutus, impatient of my absence, and grief that young Octavius and Mark Antony have made themselves so strong. For with her death the tidings came. With this she felt distraught, and her attendants absent swallowed fire. So Brutus says that she could not bear the absence of her husband Brutus, and she was sad that Brutus and Cassius's enemies, young Octavius Caesar and Mark Antony, had gathered very large armies to fight them, and the news came, the tidings came that because of this, because she feared for Brutus's life, she was distracted, and when her servants were absent, she swallowed coals and died, hot live coals and died. So asked Cassius, even so, O you immortal gods. So enter Lucius with the wine and tapers. Tapers are candles. Brutus, speak no more of her. Give me a bowl of wine. In this I bury all our kindness, Cassius. So Brutus ask Cassius not to speak any more of Portia, because it would be like rubbing a wound. And he asks Lucius to give him the bowl of wine. And he says, in the wine we'll forget all griefs. He drinks. Cassius, my heart is thirsty for that noble pledge. Fill Lucius till the wine overswell the cup. I cannot drink too much of Brutus's law. He drinks. So he says that he asks Lucius to fill the cup to the brim with wine, and Lucius enter Titinius and Messala. Brutus, come in Titinius, welcome good Messala. Now sit we close about this taper here and call in question our necessities. They sit. So Brutus says that they should have a conference on what it is necessary for them to do. Cassius, Portia, art thou gone? So Cassius is still in disbelief, and Brutus says, no more, I pray you. So he asks Cassius to stop talking about Portia. Messala, I have here received letters that young Octavius and Mark Antony come down upon us with a mighty power, bending their expedition towards Philippi. So Brutus says that tells Messala that he has received messages that Octavius Caesar and Mark Antony have come down with a mighty army, and they're coming towards Philippi. Messala, myself have letters of the self-same tenor. So Messala says that he also has letters of which bear the same message. With what addition? So, what is extra in your messages? Messala, that by prescription and bills of outlawry, Octavius, Antony, and Lepidus have put to death 100 senators. So, Messala says that in Rome, 100 senators have been accused of being outlaws, and they have been executed. Brutus. Therein our letters do not well agree. Mine speak of 70 senators that died by their prescription, Cicero being one. So Brutus tells Masala that it's not 100 senators but 70 senators that have been executed. And Cicero is one of the senators. Cassius, Cicero one. Has Cicero been executed, he asks. Masala says, Cicero is dead, and by that order of prescription, add your letters from your wife, my lord. So, Brutus, no Masala. No, nothing in your letters writ of her, nothing Masala. So Masala asks Brutus if he has heard anything of Portia in his letters. Brutus doesn't want to, talk about Portia because he wants to keep the memory of her alive. He wants to keep his grief to himself. So he says he has no news of Portia. So he says nothing Masala, nothing of Portia Masala. Masala, that methinks is strange. So Masala says that is strange. Buddha asks, why ask you? Hear you aught of her in yours? So he asks Masala if he hears of Portia anything. He hears anything of Portia in his letters. No, my lord. Brutus, now as you're a Roman, tell me true. So Brutus tells Masala, if you're a Roman, tell me the truth. Masala, then like a Roman, bear the truth and tell for certain she is dead, and by strange manner. So Masala says, bear the truth he is going to tell like a Roman, and it's certain that Portia is dead, and in a strange manner. So Brutus, why farewell Portia? We must die, Masala. With meditating that she must die once, I have the patience to endure it now. So Brutus says, all of us must die, and thinking that she can only die once, he says he has the patience to endure it. Masala, even so great men, great losses should endure. And so Masala says that's the way great people bear great losses. Cassius, I have as much of this in art as you, but yet my nature could not bear it so. Cassius tells Brutus that he is as much a philosopher as Brutus himself is, but he could not, because of his nature, bear it so calmly as Brutus says. Brutus, well, to our work alive, what do you think of marching to Philippi presently? Cassius says, I do not think it good. Your reason? That it is better that the enemy seek us, so shall he waste his means, weary soldiers doing himself offence, whilst we lying still are full of rest, defence, and nimbleness. So Cassius says the reason they should not march to Philippi is that Octavius and Antony should seek them, should search for them, and by marching that long distance between Philippi and Sardis, their soldiers will be weary or tired, and while Brutus and Cassius' armies lying still will be full of rest, defense, and nimbleness. Brutus, good reasons must of course give place to better. So he says Cassius is a good reason, but he has a better reason. The people twixt Philippi and this ground do but stand but in a forced affection, for they have grudged us contribution. So Brutus says the people between Philippi and Sardis have only show affection towards Brutus and Cassius, because only show affection because the armies of Brutus and Cassius have taken money from them. The enemy marching along by them shall make a fuller number of. So if Octavius and Antony's armies march to Sardis, then those people in between, on the ground between the two places, will join the armies of Antony and Octavius, and their armies will become larger. By them, come on, refresh, new added, and encouraged. So their larger numbers shall encourage them. From which advantage shall we cut him off if at Philippi we do face him there, these people at our back? So he says that if they march to Philippi, then the people in between won't join the armies, and the people between Philippi and Sardis will be behind them. Cassius, hear me, good brother. So Cassius, who is really a more experienced soldier, asks Brutus to listen to him, but Brutus interrupts him. Brutus, under your pardon, you must note besides that we have tried the utmost of our friends. Our legions are brimful, our cause is right. So Brutus asks, with his permission, Cassius must note that they have asked all their friends, and their armies are full, and the their cause is going to be successful. The enemy increaseth every day. We at the height are ready to decline. So Brutus says, we are at the height, we are at the zenith, so we're ready to decline. But the enemy is going to add to their numbers. And he says, there is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. So he makes a general statement that in the affairs of men, in the businesses of men, in their lives, there are one or two moments which should be taken at the flood, which should be taken when it's most fortunate, and when the affairs are grasped and work is done, then that will lead to fortune. If these moments of opportunity are lost, then the rest of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. So Brutus says that on such a full sea are we now afloat. So he says the opportunity is now ripe, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. So we must act, or we'll lose the battle. Cassius, then with your will go on, we'll along ourselves and meet them at Philippi. So Cassius agrees to march to Philippi. Brutus, the deep of night is crept upon our talk, and nature must obey necessity, which will be good with a little rest. There is no more to say. So Brutus says now it's dark, midnight, past midnight. The deep of night has crept upon their conference, and now they're tired, and they must obey necessity. That is, they must take rest. So he says there is no more to say. Cassius says no more to say. Good night. So Cassius wishes him good night, and he says early tomorrow we will rise and hence. So the next day they will rise early and march from Sardis to Philippi.